Well, welcome to today's podcast. We've got George Sabados and Caroline Bolderston here with us today. Have I pronounced that right, Caroline?
It's fine. Caroline Bolderston, whatever you want to call it, I don't mind.
Bolderston.
No, not at all. Not at all, Barry.
Boulder. Think boulder, like a boulder, like a rock.
Boulder.
Bolderston. Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't matter.
That's fine. That's fine. Caroline, I notice you're not using a virtual background, and I look at the layout of your little room there, and it seems to tell me a lot about you.
Oh, how so?
Well, a bit of colour, a bit of decoration, like a bit of style, but not neat and tidy.
Yeah, it's not too bad most of the time. I need it like this, otherwise I feel out of control. Yeah.
Out of control, like a lot of your clients, right?
Yes, in fact, that is a common theme of not feeling in control, not feeling organised, not feeling structured, and not feeling ahead of things, feeling a bit behind all the time. It's a very common theme in real estate, and I'm sure in many people's lives too.
Yeah, so let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning, Caroline. I mean, how did you start off on this journey to your current iteration? Like, what caused you to end up in this particular laneway?
So I've been in the industry now for 18 years, and the first 10 I was a selling agent, so listing and selling agent. And I had like a great 10 years. I loved it. I had my highs and lows, my ups and downs. I probably wanted to get out about 10 times, and 8 of those in the first 12 months. But what I found happening was two things really. Towards the last couple of years, when I was with Bell Property at the end, I was with Bell Property Manly for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And in the last couple of years of that, the CEO of Bell Property Australia used to get agents in to do mentoring and some training sessions for the group. And so I did a few of those, and I found that I really, really loved it. I love sharing my experiences and just supporting people. And the CEO then, kind of a bit of a throwaway comment perhaps at the time, was, if you ever get sick of the front line, and if you ever want to kind of have a change, I want to open up and set up the Bell Property Academy nationally for all of our offices and all of our people, and I think you'd be great to run that. And he kind of planted a little seed. And so it was the end of 2011. I had a couple of really challenging deals, and so much so that I found myself going, you know what, I just think I need a break from this. They were quite intense. And so I took him up on his offer. Basically, I called him up I remember it was in December, and I said, hey, is that still an idea? And he said, absolutely. So we had a few conversations, and then in January 2012, I said to my principal at the time, I need a break. And in my mind, it was a 2-year break. I said, I just need a break. I've been going hard for 10 years. I had achieved a lot. I had a wonderful career. I was the number 2 agent for the group nationally at the time. And I just felt I wanted to take a little break and then I'd come back. Mm. But then I found myself I was there for 5 years running the academy, and I loved it. I just loved it. So I never went back. And basically at the end of 5 years, which was 3 years ago now, I handed over the reins at the academy, and that's gone from strength to strength, which is wonderful. And I set up my own independent coaching and training business. So I get to work with everybody now, and I just have found my space. It's what I really love.
So you're working with everyone from sales agents through to principals and at all levels of real estate, Caroline?
Yes. Primarily I work with sales agents. I do have a few principals that I work with on leadership, or I work with them in terms of helping their whole team grow. So I do some office team coaching as well, not just one-on-ones. And I do work with new agents. It's funny, I've got like the whole range. I've got a couple of agents who it's their first year. And then I work with agents who've got a team of 4 or 5 looking to write 2.5 million this year. So it's all over. And I don't have a preference. I love every single level of it, I have to say.
Well, let me tease this out a little bit more. Okay, you were the number 2 salesperson for Bell Property Group nationally. Okay. Yep.
And don't ask the question, what happened to number one? I get asked that
No,
all
no,
the time.
no. It's a lot better to be number two. There's always somewhere to go from there.
True.
But tell me, what was the motivator, that the drive that created the drive to be at the top of your game? What was that in you that differentiated differentiated you from all the others?
So on a personal level, there's two things. One is that I'm wired that way. And I study human behavior. I do a lot with the DISC modeling, human behaviors. And I'm a DI for anybody who knows that. So I'm a driver, I'm a results focused, always have been, and I'm an influencer. So I love the people thing. So part of just how I am naturally wired is all about challenge, achievement, results. It's just part of my DNA. And always looking to see how I can improve. How can I stretch myself? What am I actually capable of? Like, I get filled up and fired up by testing that. And the other part of it is I got into real estate late. I was 33, and I found myself in my personal life in a position where I had a relationship breakdown, sold the house in Manly, a few blocks from the beach. I was renting a one-bedroom apartment. I had $40,000 to my name. I'm like, how did I end up here? Because I was a wedding planner prior to real estate, and I sunk a whole bunch of money into that. I'd sold a florist business that I'd had for 10 years. And real estate, for me, it was about getting my life back. I wanted to create some stability, some wealth. I wanted to have the life that I'd had previously. So they're the two things that drove me. It was a financial situation and a lifestyle choice, and then just my natural desire to drive myself to be the best I can. It's just how I breathe almost.
Well, I guess what gave you the desire to still remain in the industry was the fact that you didn't just make it about the financial side of life. You found comfortability in that space in other ways, not just chasing the money. Fast forwarding a little bit to your clients you've had to deal with, do you find that it's a source of unhappiness for a number of your clients? Chasing the money only?
Dollar, yeah. Yes.
Chasing the dollar.
100%. Yes, it is. And it's really interesting because I myself know that you're quite right about this, George, because it's moving in between that ambition-driven world to the meaning-driven world. That's been my own observation of my journey. Mm-hmm. And I see that in a lot of my clients. And when you are purely fueled by the ambition-driven world, you cannot, and I've had many of my clients who've achieved the $1 million GCI, which is the big shiny thing in the industry, chasing that, achieving that, and feeling flat, kind of asking what's next. Or I hear this lot, I thought it would have felt better. Like I thought I would have felt something. And it's because the ambition, there's nothing wrong with being driven by ambition. It's a wonderful thing. But if there's not something behind that actually fulfills you on a personal level and lights you up, and this is why I focus on the behavioral types and understanding human behaviors, you've got to know what fuels you. And so a lot of the work I do now, especially understanding human behaviors and what makes us tick, is helping my agents not just focus on the dollars. And it's interesting we're talking about this right now because we're approaching the end of the financial year. This whole month, a lot of my one-on-one sessions have been about reflecting on the financial year that's been, what do we want next year to look like? And a lot of what I'm doing is reconnecting them with their goals, what it is beyond the money. Yeah. And so it's a good time to be doing that. And I believe what I can do is help my agents balance out the ambition and the meaning better.
Do you find it hard to get that to that point with agents, Caroline, where they really open up and discover that meaning? Because I know, I mean, I've been in the industry as well, just like you have, and I must admit I wouldn't have really gone to that place. It was more about just getting results and driving for that. So how do you find you're able to open agents up to to share about discovering what's really behind, where the real fire is for them. Because we all think it's the money, but once you get it, everyone knows it's not that. So unless they get connected, connect the ambition with that meaning, then they're not going to have that fulfillment that they're really seeking. So how do you actually help agents, tap into that?
Well, it's part of the planning process for me. And when I actually onboard a client, I ask them to complete a coaching profile where I ask some probing questions about what matters to you, various questions that I ask as a coach. And so that probably often gives them the first moment for a long time to really sit back and answer those questions for themselves. And I know that because I often, when they send it back to me, often say, wow, that was an interesting experience. I haven't thought about that much. I can see now that I'm not clear on what's important to me. So that exercise in itself starts the process, Barry. And from there, I use the coaching profile as the basis of where do we go from here? What's the plan? What's the structure for what we're doing together? What do we want to achieve? What are the outcomes? So it really starts from day one for me. And I guess part of it is how I am as a coach as well. I'm a pretty open book, and I try to create a space where people feel they can be a little bit vulnerable. I build up a lot of trust with my clients fairly quickly. And I think a lot of them have gotten to know me over time before they start to work with me through my coaching videos and my free insights and tips and things. And so I allow them to feel that I genuinely care about them. And I think it's because I don't do it for the money either. So I
really get that, Caroline. I get how much from what you've shared with us already, that's really that being of service for other people. You can just sense that that's the space you're coming from, and that's going to be a big reason why you've been so successful in any area you've decided to focus in.
Yes. I love what you said there, because a long time ago, in fact, I just said it, when did I say this? I can't remember. It must have been over the weekend. Yes, I was at a restaurant. I remember now. A restaurant. Woo. Basically, I believe my strength is customer service. I believe that is what I enjoy. That's right, because I was saying how I enjoyed my time when I was a waitress, when I had a couple of jobs years ago, to the waiter. And that's my strength. My strength is customer service. I love it. I just love it. And that's what I've always brought into whatever I've done. I was a travel agent, a florist, a wedding planner, sales agent, now a coach. I've had all these different iterations of what I do. But it's the customer service thing. And that's what I try to open up my clients to a bit more as well, is understanding that underneath it all, that's what I believe a real estate agent should be great at. And that's what we do.
So, sorry, go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say, what is customer service for a real estate agent? Is it just ticking the boxes and just informing people, or is there another element, do you see, to customer service which goes deeper than that, which can take their service levels to a whole new place with their clients?
Yes, I believe it's when you can move from that moment of shining the light on others and not yourself, and therefore being genuinely curious about a person, what they think, what they feel, what they believe. A lot of the work I do right now is based on values and identifying your own values as a person, and then how do you find out what your client or your customer's values are, and then serving that. And that's how you win listings. So I spend a bit of time just educating and expanding the thinking around that, as to, how do you show up? How do you serve? What is it? And it's that whole listening thing where people listen but they don't hear. And I work with my clients on that, because to me that's the biggest shift that has to happen.
I was asking. I was about to ask. Do you profile every agent before you take them on as a client? And is there a particular profile that you find better results with? And the third part of the question is, can you please explain what the DISC test is? Because I know it, but a lot of our listeners may not.
Yes. Okay, so to answer the first question, I don't profile everybody that comes on board, but I use it often. Sometimes I suggest it, they're not ready for it as well. And I think it's a very powerful tool, but there's time that you have to put into that, and there's a cost associated with it as well. So I'm trying to work out a new model where it might just be built in to what I do, but I try and make it as economical as possible so it's not a barrier for people to get coached. What was the second part of that? Is there one I prefer over the other?
Well, yes. Is there a particular client that you work better with than others?
I see what you mean.
Or that you see get better results?
Yes.
So just to make sure I understand, if I've profiled, do I find that certain behavioural types I'm a better fit for as a coach? Is that what you mean?
Well, no. I mean, is there a more dominating profile in the area of successful real estate agent to others? To other profiles?
Yes.
Because there are four different parts of the profile, and the number of combinations are endless. So
yes. So yes, I'll answer the third question and answer the second one.
Okay.
So the third question, I use DISC, which is the behavioural profiling. It's not personality profiling. Big difference. Human behaviour, what makes us tick, what makes us make our decisions. And the DISC stands for dominant, influencer, steady and compliant. And we've got the D and the C are basically the logical thinkers, the more analytical. The I and the S is more people focused. So you've got fact and people. And then if you look at the DI combination, and most of us have two dominant energy types out of the four. We have all four, but usually two of them are like our captain energies. The D and the I being on the more extrovert scale versus the C and the S being on the introvert, if you look on the horizontal scale, tend to make the more successful agents, but not always. The reason being is that to be a good sales agent, you have to be comfortable with people and you have to be comfortable with chasing results. The combination of those two tend to equal more success if the energy types are used resourcefully. And what I often find is that when used unresourcefully, the D shows up as arrogant, egocentric, all about me, I don't care about you. It's all about the dollar, the result, which is very unresourceful when that's felt. And then the I that is felt or used unresourcefully is highly distracted, looking for the next shiny, fast thing, having too much fun sometimes, and being a bit too in your face. You know, they're the most social, often the most extrovert.
Yeah, right. Okay, because my profile is DI.
Well, there we go. And so is mine. I'm DI.
With a touch of S, a touch.
Well, that's the thing.
And absolutely no C. Nothing.
Usually we have all four. The C could be really, really low, the compliant, which is the more analytical, the patient, looking for the facts, the figures, the data, the finer detail. We usually have all four, and sometimes what I find is it's when we can draw upon the less dominant energies and actually strengthen those sometimes is needed. And that's what I can help my clients with as well. But I do have some clients who are CS energy. And what I find I have to focus on with them more is their ability to read the play and to actually ask the closing. Like they have to ask for the business. I find that the CS energy types are less prepared to go there. And therefore they take their time. They want to give time. They want to be polite about it. And they lose business based on that.
So I can assume from what I've just told you that I'll either be a great agent or a perfect client of yours.
Or both.
I need a bit of help.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing that, yes, it's not to be confused with a personality test. It is really just highlighting a person's strengths and weaknesses in behaviour.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I love about it? I layer it in wherever I can because it also is how you can use your understanding of DISC to better understand who your clients are. And therefore it comes down to the communication piece, communicating with them in a way that they can hear it, they can take it on, and it actually aligns and it makes them feel we get each other. You know what I mean? That's a huge part of sales that I believe is missing in a lot of people.
So you skill clients up in being able to read people on the basis of the DISC test. Yeah. So it's just a quick, 10-second analysis, and you kind of tune in and can work it out. Yeah, is that right?
When you get good at it, yes. It takes time to really understand it. Like I have spent years on this myself, and now as being accredited to teach it. But when there are some simple shortcut hacks that I can teach if I don't have time that do help. And yes, you can pick it up on how somebody answers the phone, on how they write their emails, what kind of SMSs, what they wear, what they drive. What they do for a living. There's a whole lot of cues that you could just use at a high level to go, maybe they're more of a DC, and therefore this is what they will need from me. And then you can test it with them by asking some questions and go, yep, right, that's confirmed it. Now I know how to communicate.
Wow.
It sounds so scientific. I think for a lot of agents, that might be like a bit overwhelming. I know, just thinking that way and trying to analyze at the same time as just connecting. But I guess what I also hear from what you're saying, Caroline, is it just takes practice and it does take a bit of time.
Yeah, it does. It does take practice and time. It takes commitment. But more than anything, it takes a desire to want to be playing at that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd be definitely very interesting conversation in a room full of people.
What makes you say that?
Because you'd be analysing people from that perspective, right? And you'd be able to read them.
Yeah, look, yes and no. I guess I try not to be in work mode if I can when I'm socialising. But you're right.
Can't help it though.
What was that?
Can't help it though. Can't help it. Come on,
Sometimes I can't help it.
That's a real good game to play in many respects. When you think about, looking at people, people watching is one of the best pastimes in the world.
Well, it's intriguing. Well, here's the thing. I love what you've just said, George. Here's how this all plays out. For some, yes, people watching is the most interesting thing, because if you're interested in people, then that's what fires you up, right? And you love it, which is more the IS energies. But the Cs are less interested in people naturally. So therefore, they probably don't care so much about watching and understanding people in a room. So it's also intertwined. It's not funny, but you're quite right. Put me in a room and speaking with people, I do naturally just filter and to understand who I'm talking with, so that I can respond maybe a little bit more in how they're used to communicate, so that we can connect quicker and feel that there's alignment. It doesn't mean I change who I am by any means. And it's not about being a fake person or saying something because you think that's what they want to hear, which becomes manipulation. It's more about for me, it comes from a place of how do I make people feel comfortable in my presence, so that, and this answers your question earlier, Barry, so that they can relax and open up and be a little bit more vulnerable. That's how this is used best.
What I hear is you're just being of service. Your intention is to be of service to them and create a space for them to open up and be authentic and vulnerable with you. Because let's face it, in most interactions, it's so surface level. It's like, hey, you're going, yeah, great, everything's fantastic, and everyone's at that level, but that doesn't actually get to a level where you're necessarily going to do business with somebody, or if an agent's listed somebody on that level, to get them sold, they have to move to a whole new level with that person, and it's been able to create that authentic connection and communicate with them from an intention of being of service to them. That's what I hear from what you're saying, Caroline.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that's what you hear, because for me, yes, Barry, that's what it's all about. And I love the word you just used, the surface level. I literally just kicked off yesterday my favorite thing to work with agents on, which is how to influence. And it's called Listing with Influence. It's a masterclass series that I run a few times a year, small group, but I love it because what I focus on is It's the fact that I believe most of the industry plays, and I use the iceberg analogy, of course. You know, there's what you see and there's what you don't see. There's what you hear, what you don't hear. There's what's public, what's private, what's above and below the surface. And most agents, no fault of their own, it's just how we've all been taught. I was taught the same as an agent. You ask these questions and it's all very surface level. And the fascinating thing about the masterclass and what I know as a coach now is I get them all to complete a little pre-work document where I ask them, what are the questions you typically like to ask a client to get to know what they value, what they care about? And it's gold, because they all come back to me with the same questions, which shows me that the experience that a consumer has in the industry is pretty much the same with 90% of the industry, the agents. And is there any surprise then that it all comes down to fees and marketing costs? Because lo and behold, all agents look and feel the same. It's because of that.
Well, you've said something, two words that I think are really underrated in real estate: listening and really hearing. And listening through things, like you hear, sometimes we talk to a lot of agents, and sometimes agents are saying they've got a client and they're just this way. They hear that they're rude or they're arrogant. You know, he was a pilot and he was a POM and he was just really rude and a certain way.
Yeah.
But if you listen at the surface level, that's what they hear. But what I'm getting from you is, if you listen at a deeper level, there's something else going on for this person, and it's not the words that they're saying out of their mouth. So the words they're saying are not really what they're trying to communicate to you.
Oh, absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. It's kind of like listening is really when you hear what is not being said. That's when you know how to listen, and it's a skill. I've had to learn how to do that. And then it's the ability to, how do you then effectively ask a question that can break through that public surface level conscious conversation. And to me, it's all about the unconscious conversation we need to be having. So yes, it's all of that. There's so much to this. That's why I just thrive off it, because it's incredibly powerful.
And they don't want to be that way, right? What we all want is connection. We all want to feel connected and feel like that the other person gets us. And how good is it when you come away from an interaction with somebody, we go, they just got me, and the vice versa. When they feel the same way, it's a fantastic experience. And it sometimes takes something, because our customers, a lot of consumers, their expertise may not be communication. And that's where what I'm getting from you, Caroline, is we can bring that communication and that listening to the conversation. And often your clients can say to you, God, I feel closer to you than any of my family, if you can really get to that level with them. And it's just such a beautiful experience, right? Regardless of the money side, it just, that's something, a reward you can't buy.
100%. To me, that's success in life. When you can, have impact on somebody and help them in a way that they've never experienced before. That has to be surely the pursuit of why we're here. If you want to get a bit kind of spiritual about this, but I believe that's why we're here. And it's what you've just said is a values alignment. And that sounds a bit, what does that really mean? But it's that whole thing of, they just get me. And I used the example to the group I've started working with yesterday, where this is a funny little, well, I think it's funny. I'll repeat the story, cut it out. It's boring, but it's one of my clients. I've been working with him now one-on-one since 2015. So it's a long time. He has grown. He stepped out as a assistant agent at the time, working with a principal. He now runs a team. He's got 5 on his team plus him. 4 at the moment. But he called me one day and said, something funny just happened, CB. I said, what happened? And he walked into the garage. He was doing an appraisal. And he walked into the garage, and on the side of the fridge in the garage was a calendar, a real estate, calendar thing with my face on it. And from 2011, and this literally happened maybe 18 months ago, this experience. And he said to the client, oh my God, Caroline. And the client said, Yes, she sold our last property for us when we bought this one. She's great. So they, somebody in common. And so he told me that and told me who the client was. And I remember them very fondly. We had a wonderful experience together. And so I said, oh, you know what, I'm going to call her. So I called her up. And I actually called for two reasons. One, wanted to just reconnect, see how they're doing. And two, as the agent's coach, I was very interested to find out why they chose him. And it's gold. It all comes together here, because when I said, what made you go with ex-agent? What made you make that decision? You know what she said? She goes, you know what? I can't pinpoint what it was. It just felt right. And he just really got us. No word of a lie, they were her words. And my God, when I hear that, I go, everything I work on here matters. Like, this is what we're talking about. Mm. And I relayed that back to my client and said, so what you're doing here really well is X, Y, Z, keep it up, keep it up. But that's what I try and work on with my agents, is when you can have a prospective client, feel that you get them, you understand them on a deeper level, that bottom of the iceberg where most agents do not go, that's when they won't know why, but they just want to work with you. And this is where you don't have to win on fee, and you don't have to buy the listing on price or pay for the marketing. It's just the space you really want to be in, isn't it?
And it's smooth too, right? It's like any friction and all that disappears. It becomes they really trust and value the agent's opinion, or whoever the professional is. When they feel gotten, it's a totally different experience, which is so the experience can be, you can get the money and you can go away going, God, I hope I don't see them again. Or you can actually get rewarded both in remuneration, but also where they just become raving fans and can't help but talk to people about you. Even if they overhear someone talking about real estate, they want to drop your name and share it because you've actually made an impact in their life other than just a transaction. Yeah.
Caroline, well said, by the way, Caroline and Barry, because, I think, as an outsider to the industry, I've got to say that there was, like a lingering gutful that people have had of agents, because the predominant image is egocentric, like a slave to symbols of power and success, and really not heartfelt and connecting with the community, and that. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire. This didn't come from nothing. That came from like a world which was all about sell, and a transactional world. But I imagine a lot of your clients, when they first come to you, they come to you because they're in that world. But how do they come to you? What is it that makes them come to you?
I know the answer to that. And this, I hope this comes across the way it's intended, and I'm only repeating what I hear. Mm-hmm. Initially, they come to me, I think for a different reason of what they actually get out of it in the end. Mm-hmm. So I'll just preface that.
You sell them what they want, and then you give them what they need.
Well, it's like, maybe. They come to me, I hear it all the time. They come to me for my energy. That's what I get told. This is what they tell me. Oh, I just really like your energy, and I just really felt connected to you. And, I've got 2 people in my masterclass, because it's only a small group of 12, who didn't know me until I was a guest coach on the Elite Agent Transform program recently, their 30-day program. And both of them pretty much said, oh, I just really loved your energy on the session you ran. And so they come to me for that, and define that however you want. However, what I then find out they truly want and need comes through the coaching profile. And it's very funny. Often it shows up as a bit of they just need more discipline. They want someone to hold them accountable. They need someone to kind of give them a bit of a shove, because I can be kind of a bit tormenting if that's what's required.
You've got to be as a good coach, right? You've got to have both sides. You can't be just the nice person. Sometimes we need a good kick up the back.
Yes. Yes, and in fact, sometimes where I've kind of not snapped myself, but I thought, hang on, I need to give you a bit of the shine the light and put the mirror in front of you here now. And I kind of get a little bit, I antagonize them a little on purpose. They often say to me, you know what, wow, at the end of the session, I needed that. So they think they need discipline. What I do know across the board is 3 main things that I work on with anybody I work with is the mindset thing. It's like how they talk to themselves, the language, their patterns that hold them back, their beliefs, their own value system. There's all of that. Sometimes we need to break through that for them to have any success, like results from that, because that's what's getting in the way. The second main area I focus on is the action set. So there's mindset, action set, which is really, what are they doing? What's their structure? What are their systems, processes? How do they run their day? How do they control their time? How do they leverage that? What's their routine? It's all of that, the action part of it. And the third, and usually the final place I go, is the skill set, which is some of what we've just discussed, how to be more influential, how to win more business, how to communicate better. That's all the skill stuff. But they usually come to me on the surface level for the middle piece, the action. I just need, to prospect more. And yet they're right. But then I start to unpack why they're not doing that. And I fix that.
How do they get to a space where they do those actions with fun, freedom, and ease rather than as a chore, right? And there's something else I want to say on that. You do have a beautiful energy. There's something about your energy. So I'm really curious, how do you manage your energy? What sort of things do you have in place to carry this sort of energy with you when you're with people?
Well, firstly, I have my natural energy is energetic because I'm high in the eye. So that's part of how I'm wired. And I think we've got to put that out on the table, because not everybody can show up like this and do it with ease and do it in flow and not feel exhausted by it.
Not be fake about it, but be authentic.
Yeah. It just is, truthfully, I feel alive when I can be like this. So that's why I love doing these things, because it gives me the opportunity. But I also have to know, I have to listen to myself and have awareness around how much I can take, because I am I love the people interaction. I also do know what people, and I hope this is heard the way I mean this here, what people are good for me to be around, because I do give a lot. People who just love to take will do it. And therefore, I have to be very self-aware of when that's happening and when it's not good for me. And I have to have some, what people might think are difficult conversations, but I see them as just honest, direct communication. And sometimes I have to let those people go as clients and even as friends, I have to say.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you said that, because that's actually really part of being authentic. And there's nothing wrong with that either. That's oftentimes they need to go through they have a journey of their own, just like we do, and our responsibility is to take really good care of ourselves, because if we don't, how do we take care of anyone else? How do we continue to be of service for other people? So it's actually really important that you bring that up, because I think a lot of people in the industry just fake it, and they're dealing with somebody where it's just not happening, and they can't get it there, or they're not ready to go there with that sort of client. And that's where they need more coaching, and having that, having somebody like yourself, Caroline, it's not going to necessarily happen in a month or 2 months. Like, coaching can go, as I'm sure you can attest, that there's different levels, and it takes something to go to the deeper levels. And just like a professional, top business person or athlete, real estate agents no different. Finding the sort of coach that will stop you when you're being good at manipulating yourself and others, because real estate agents can be really good at manipulating themselves and others, and having somebody like you, Caroline, who's prepared to say, hey, you picking up on things, which can take time. That doesn't mean they wouldn't get results straight away in areas of their life. I'm sure you as you said, even from the questionnaire they do with you right from the start, they'll start having insights.
Yeah. Yes, and there are immediate little things that we can shift pretty quickly. And I love that too. You know, just to get some immediate relief from whatever is the challenge at the time is awesome. It's the whole sustainability factor of what I do. It's how do we make long-term and permanent change, and that can take time. And again, not everybody comes to me for that, and I don't do that with everybody either. And you know, some people, some of my clients come on for 3 months, and it's a quick 90-day thing. I've got a 30-day intensive offering as well, just people who need some quick changes on some simple things. And as I say, I've got some clients who literally I have had for years. Some think they've got enough for a while and then come back a year or two later. It's whatever my clients need at the time. That's why it's such a great, that's why I love what I do. And that's why, even though I thought it'd be 2 years out of the, selling world, I haven't gone back because of just how much I love this. Although I will say I'd be a far superior agent today than what I was when I finished selling at the end of 2011, because a lot of what I've spoken to you about, I've only developed through my journey as a coach.
Course.
So, wow.
Well, don't ever do that, because I think you've got so much value to give the industry. And I think more than ever, with the last 3 or 4 months where people have experienced through this COVID situation, there's been a real rising of consciousness for a lot of people, and even real estate agents are starting to realize more and more that there's other levels here of fulfillment and satisfaction, and what we might define as success. And what you're sharing with us today, Caroline, shows that the industry is more than ever is going to be seeking your services, and other sales coaches and trainers like you, because it really helps them get to the core of why they're doing what they're doing, why they're waking up every morning. And the areas of their life, what I'm hearing from what you're saying is the things that have been holding them back from success in a material sense in real estate will also be holding them back in their personal relationships and in every other area of their life. So, it'll flow through. So it's wonderful what you're doing with agents. It's amazing. And not anyone can do that. It takes a certain type of person, and we're very lucky to have you in the industry, providing this sort of service.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's really nice to hear that, the love I have for this is also needed. That's phenomenal. We all have needs that we need to be fulfilled, and am I contributing is a big one for a lot of people. So that need for contribution is very high for me as well. It's interesting, if just what you were saying then, Barry, I just wouldn't mind coming back to you on, because with what you've said, and not so black and white, but I'll say it pretty black and white, is there are a lot of agents in pain and just personal turmoil over whether they've missed business or what they have to do to be successful. There is a lot of pain, and yes, it's flowing over everywhere into, this is why we see marriage breakups, just relationship breakdowns, bad relationships with their children. And there's so much that is not talked about. And not that I'm not a counsellor, and I'm not going to profess that I could even be a great counsellor, but even just some of this behavioural understanding has set so many people free. And wow, that's powerful, and it's just so important. And whether it's me or another coach or whatever it is, I really do encourage anybody who, if they're resonating with anything we've said here, to go, okay, I do have choice and options here. My life doesn't have to be or feel like this. And it's not all doom and gloom either. It's like, maybe how do I get more of this good stuff? There's answers for that as well.
Actually, that's a really good point, Caroline, because like some agents would think, I don't need help. I'm actually okay. There's nothing wrong with me, and I can work it out. I can read books and whatever. But there's something that having coaching, even if it's in a group setting or one-on-one with you, or I'm sure you do, and there's multiple different ways that you provide your service to people, to real estate agents particularly. But it actually takes courage to pick up the phone or go to your website or get in touch with you somehow, or any coach. And it's a matter of finding the right fit. So I really think if there's anything from this call to get, obviously people are getting a really good sense of who you are, Caroline, as a person and as a coach. And they've got to find the right fit for them, because the right fit for them will be the right fit for you as well, and vice versa for a coach. That's how anyone's going to get the most out of it.
Right.
But how would an agent go about getting in touch with you and finding you? If they're going, you know what, I am ready to take my career and my whole life to a whole new level. How do they get in touch?
Pretty simply, you can just Google my name, it'll come up. But Being Bold is the name of my coaching business. So if you just Google Being Bold or beingbold.com.au, I'm on Instagram as well. Search my name or Being Bold. It'll should come up everywhere. LinkedIn is another way. My phone number's on the website, so I should be pretty easily found. What you've just said though is so true though. It's sometimes that first step that's the hardest thing, because, and again, I've often had clients say, I feel better when they send that profile back to me. I feel better just even taking this first step. I already feel something's lifted. And so, yeah, reach out. There's mentors that you don't have to pay for. There's so many ways you can get support. I really would encourage everybody, if they feel they want more or less of anything, get someone to help you with it. I had a coach from my second year in the industry. I had a coach for like 8 years, different coaches. I tried different ones. So yeah, I believe in it that much because I know it helped me.
Absolutely. And I think that's I mean, anybody who's even having a thought, if they even think in their mind, gee, I could do with something, they should just reach out to you, right? And just ask the question and just see what's possible. And, there's no mistakes or wrong questions. The only silly question is the one you don't ask. Yeah. And, just getting in touch, because real estate agent might be a really successful agent at listing and selling property. But when it comes to asking for coaching or understanding coaching, that could be a whole new thing. And it could be scary to reach out to a coach and say, oh, I've got to start sharing something with somebody else. And it's, it could be a bit daunting, but what's available for them on the other side of that is a certain lightness and a freedom that can create peace and fun in their life again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's, being a coach, it's like I will lead the way and I'll help guide them to where they want to be. I will have to say this though, it takes work. Like I can't do the heavy lifting for my clients, and so not all coaching clients I've had have been successful. And whether it's we weren't the right fit, could be. Whether it's they didn't do the heavy lifting, often I do know that is what it is. So yeah, there's a fair bit to it. It's not just a silver bullet.
No.
But when you get it right, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, they may not do the heavy lifting then and there with you, but sometimes that just means they're just not ready yet to do it as well. So you probably had clients that have gone away and then, developed it more and probably pondered on some of the things that you were talking about and thought, you know what, I better come back. Have you had people that have come back after all and said, you know what, I'm ready now. I'm ready to work on myself and take myself on?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I've got a client right now who she basically said to me when we wrapped up, we've worked together for a couple of years, and I always check in and say, have you got what you need? Like, I don't want to hold people for longer than they need to be in coaching. Forget that. But she said, look, I think I might actually want to go off on it. And she wanted to try another coach, and I encouraged that. I said, yes, get a different perspective. Go for it. She came back to me this year, and literally in my session with her just yesterday, we have revisited some of the work we were doing last year where it didn't land. And her words absolutely said, you know what? I know we've done this before. I just wasn't ready. And she said, right now I am loving this, and this is making such a difference. So timing is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess on that point, I just want to, the analogy I share with people all the time is that everyone knows that to be an ace football player, you need to train and get good coaching. You need to, and you need to play the game. And there are going to be days where you get smashed around the park and days where you draw, and some days you start winning. And but you need a coach. You need a coach. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that you know, that to build a strong body, they have to go to the gym. It's remarkable how few people give any thought to having a coach to develop their mind and their soul.
It is. I think there's a lot in what Barry mentioned before. There is a bit of fear around it, and it's that courage of, am I prepared to do the work, or wow, am I prepared to be committed to this? And there's a lot, you